Welcome to our April reads. April.
Reads. You'd be home, would you be? If you were addicted to so much. But I gave this 4 stars because it had a happy ending, which not a vibe really.
Like, you pick up a sad book because you want to be sad.
Yeah. But it was good. It was like really hopeful for like that you're gonna overcome like addiction.
But I don't want to read about that. I want to read sad.
Yeah, so that was that vibe.
Because like so many people on TikTok were like, oh my god, this book is so sad, so devastating, blah blah blah. Like with all the Kathleen Glasgow books. They made it seem like it wasn't going to have a happy ending. Because I assumed the term "you'd be home now" was referring to the fact that he would be dead.
Yeah, but it's just like a sign on their village saying like, if you live here, you'd be home now.
Aye.
Because it's like so enticing to be in, I guess. The next one, I'ma just
jump in, babe.
Yeah, because I'm a hater. This is like a hot take, but if you'd have been with me.
So you waited 6 weeks for this book, and then what was the verdict?
Their friendship stopped because they kissed. And instead of being like, hey, why did you do that? They stopped speaking to each other.
We kissed when we were like 8, we're still friends.
Unfortunately. And then they spent the entire book different relationships. And then, at the end of the book, they have sex. Unprotected, of course, because straight people.
Straight people, always.
I messaged you when it was like 10 pages left and I was like, there is no point of this book if someone doesn't die.
Yeah.
And then guess fucking what? He dies. But it feels like everything happened in like the last 10 pages.
Oh, that's... So you could have just read like the last chapter and been like satisfied, really?
Yeah, because he goes to break up with his girlfriend.
Oh yeah, because he sleeps with her while
they're together.
Yeah.
And then he's in a car crash and dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad because I thought, you know, from reading the blurb and reading the title, that it was going to be like a sad story. I thought he'd probably be dead halfway through or maybe near the beginning, like your Rich Sam was. And it'd be her being like, oh, I wonder what our life would have been like, and nope, instead it was that.
But don't worry, because guess what? She's pregnant with his child.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course, the cycle continues.
After that one time having sex.
That one time.
There was this part where she's in a relationship with like this guy. I think his name's Jamie. There's a part where she gets a bruised eye from sledding, and Jamie is like, tell people that I gave you that bruised eye because it'll be funny. And I was like, what?
My first read of April was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This, we're changing tones completely. This is a happy book. I went into April after reading all the really depressing books the first few months of the year and was like, I'm going to read some romance. Romance is where I need to be right now because I'm really fucking depressed. So I read The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I gave this book 4 stars. This would be such a good book to read in October or in autumn, and the second book as well, because it's set in like this town in America where they thrive off of their Halloween tourism because it's like a witchy town. There is a college where the college is like has this magic thing where like witches do go there but normal people go there, but they have this spell to like deter mortals from going into the witchy lessons and things. It's full of mystery. There's a lot of plot twists. It's romantic. There's a couple of little cliches in there. The male characters aren't annoying. Shocked, to be honest. Probably because they're witches. But which is rare because normally men in romances piss me off because they are men. These were good though.
We don't hate men, just like...
Yeah, it comes across that way. But basically, it's about this girl, Vivian, and this guy, Reese. Reese is like part of the big witchy family that like founded the town. Spoilers for the plot twist later, I guess. And he's only there because they're that family is from Wales. He's only there for the summer. They get together and then they break up, and she doesn't handle it very well. And her cousin get drunk and accidentally curse him, accidentally hex him. Vibes. And it's just like, it's such a good, fun book. And it was such a good way to start the month. I really recommend this series. This is also my April reads. This is the second one, The Kiss Card, which is about Vivian's cousin and Reese's brother. And it's also like another fun adventure, witchy. These would be perfect for autumn and Halloween time, and like, they're really short. I read them in a couple of days. Really, really fun. It's especially good if you're taking a break from reading all the depressing stuff that we do. It's good to take a mental break. Your mental health is important. Yeah, so both of these I rated 4 out of 5. Because they weren't anything that was like, wow, 5 stars, just blew me away. But they were fun and romantic, and there's a talking cat in them. What more could you want?
Our Wives Under the Sea.
You haven't really told me much about this one.
I don't really know how to. Basically, lesbians. But one of them goes in a submarine to like discover things, but they spend like 6 months lost at sea. And when she comes back, she spends practically all of her time in a bathtub. But her body withers away to nothing, and her partner's then like, okay, we're just gonna chuck it back in the sea.
Oh my god, it's reverse Ariel.
But the section of the book were like the Twilight Zone, the Midnight Zone, and it just kept going down, which I thought was really cool.
Well, like, as in the depths of the ocean. Oh, that's sick.
So that like parted like that.
The next book I read was Things We'd Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is a very popular book talk series. This is part of the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. It's just a very... People, when I first heard about this book, they were like, oh, it's a sad book. It's not a sad book, it's a romance. It's got some feel-good stuff in it. It's about, there's this girl and she has a twin sister, and it's the day of her wedding, and her twin sister calls her and is like, I need some help, because she's like the troublemaker sister, she's the bad one. She goes to meet up her sister. Instead, her sister steals her car, her money, and leaves her with the daughter she didn't know that she had. So... her niece. And this grumpy barber guy gets himself involved because he sees it happen. Like, her twin sister is notorious in the town for causing trouble. And it's just about all of that and, like, what happens. There's a couple of plot twists. There's some drama. But for the most part, it's pretty much a feel-good romance. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 5 because I really enjoyed it. There is a sequel called Things We Hide From the Light, but I've heard not so great things about it. I do have it, so review coming later for that, I guess. But yeah, this is a good book. Good, feel good, quite thick, but because so much happens, it doesn't get boring. There wasn't a point in this book where I was bored, because it keeps you interested. It's not like, it doesn't waffle, because we both know I don't like a book that waffles.
How to Kill Your Family, yeah.
Stop. Even though I am a waffler.
I then read What Lies Between Us. This man makes this girl get a tattoo on the underside of her lip. Guess what it says?
Nymph.
Lolita. And I was like, okay, there's so much goes on. Her dad also raped her one time, and she like dissociates and kills him. So her mum buries him in the back garden, and the daughter thinks her mum done it the whole time, but it was her. And she then goes on to kill her boyfriend's girlfriend at the time because she's also pregnant, and she's also dissociating. So there was that. Then she finds her son, and then she practically beats him with a chain that the mother is wearing, like around her ankle, because she can't escape. And she locks him in the basement, and then one day, because her mum doesn't know that she's kidnapped her son, she gets some matches and sets the house on fire with them both in it, but she doesn't know.
That's unhinged.
And yeah.
We went 2 different ways for that month.
Yeah.
I went to happy fun times, you went to sad times.
It was a lot. But I didn't like the fact, like, the mental illness narrative. Like,
You're mentally ill, therefore you're a murderer.
yeah.
Yeah. Not a vibe. There's a difference between having intrusive thoughts and like genuinely yeeting people off the planet.
A lot happened.
My next book of the month was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I'm throwing my books at you now. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is your typical college angsty romance. It's about a girl called Anastasia, and she is a figure skater, and she's at this really prestigious college. They have 2 ice rinks because they're like a sports college, and she's like training for the Olympics with her ice skating partner, who is an asshole. He pisses me off the whole book. He basically gives her an eating disorder. It's a whole fucking thing. He would like do lifts and then he would grunt and he'd be like, "You've gained weight." And then he would make her food plans and she would basically be eating fucking nothing. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There's a lot of like triggering stuff in this. Anyway, and then there's this guy, Nate Hawkins. He's the captain of the ice hockey team. And there's an incident at the beginning of the book, and their ice rink gets trashed by another college. So then they have to share an ice rink with the figure skaters. And that just causes tension. People mix, there's romance, there's plot twists, there's drama. But mostly it's angsty and it's fun. And it has a really good happy ending. And it gives you like a glimpse into their future life. It's good. It's a really good book. I recommend it.
The last book I read was called The Game. It took 200 pages for them to finally meet up. Like, all the players.
And how long is the book?
400 and something pages.
It shouldn't take that long. Like in the Midnight Game, it was like, what, 30 pages and then boom.
Yeah.
Not even that. It was probably like, more like 10, 20.
But you have like these players, 5 players, and you switch point of views every time. And then I was like, okay, lots happening. 5 players, getting all their backstories at once. And then they had a 6th player. And I was like, chill out. Like, you could have lost like 2 players and it would still have the same impact.
So what is the game that they are playing?
Basically, someone they love has been kidnapped and they have to play a game to win them back. So they all meet up, they play chicken on like a highway, someone nearly died, someone thinks they saw someone try to push another player, but they don't, and then they continue playing and they drive somewhere where like the 6th player is, and someone gets murdered. So there's this game, and there's another game which is called the pre-game, which intertwines with how the game happens. Because basically, in the pre-game, someone's daughter surprises like one of the players that sets up the whole thing, gets raped on a boat, and it's the 6th player's fault because he set up the whole thing. So she's like, someone's got to kill this man because he let my daughter get raped. And so someone does it, and then she's like, okay, let my loved one go, and she's like, I can't do that no more. The others just die, I assume.
Oh.
Because they're like, they don't have any of their loved ones back by the end of it, so it's like,
Oh.
okay. And also there's like this part where a dog dies, and it's like,
Oh my god, you Snapchatted me about this.
why? What is the reason?
Animal death in any book is just so unnecessary.
And that's how my April ended.
Country Nights by Winter Renshaw. I read that on my Kindle because I needed to use my Kindle. I hadn't used it for a while, and they've just put their Kindle prices up from $7.99 a month to $9.49 a month, which is more than Amazon Prime itself, but this is not the video for that discussion. Country Nights is just it's basically just a country style spicy love story. It's really good. I liked it. It's not really much else I can say about it. It's got really good characters. I read it in one night because I'm unhinged. Yeah, it only took me like 3 hours to read. I gave it 3.5/4 stars. There was plot twist. It was cozy. It was fun. And then my final book of the month. What was it, you may be wondering? It was You've Reached Sam. This book devastated me I was very sad. I cried. Whereas you have a different opinion on this book.
She was insufferable.
There were parts of it where she did annoy me. I really liked the book. It was really sad. It made me cry. It had a lot of visuals in it that I really liked.
Made me angry.
Made you angry. It made me angry in parts too. But I think it's because it's a way of grieving that you don't see very often. It's the way I grieve. I just block it out, pretend it doesn't happen. The way she grieved her boyfriend's death was like, she just continued. And she didn't go to anything. She didn't go to the funeral. She didn't go to one other thing. And she didn't really talk to anyone. And she just kind of sat in her room and got on with it. That is the way I grieve, pretty much. So that's probably why I got more upset, because I related to it more. Whereas you grieve differently to me. You actually grieve healthily. Okay, goodbye.